Las Vegas glitters like a diamond in the desert, a paradise of endless possibilities where fortunes change with a roll of the dice. But beneath those dazzling lights lies another Vegas, where secrets fester in the shadows of luxury mansions and behind the forced smiles of those who seem to have it all. Have you ever wondered what terrible truths hide behind the perfect family portrait hanging on your neighbor's wall? What desperate measures would you take to protect your reputation if everything you built was threatened? How would family loyalty push you beyond the boundaries of right and wrong? In the scorching summer of 2017, the Marino family appeared to embody the American dream. Victor Marino commanded respect as a second-generation casino executive whose influence stretched across the Strip. His wife Layla transitioned gracefully from celebrated showgirl to sought-after luxury real estate agent. Their children, 19-year-old Ava and 16-year-old Lucas, excelled in private schools and charmed guests at charity galas, with practiced smiles that concealed dark realities. But on a sweltering August night, a heated confrontation between husband and wife erupted into violence. A crystal decanter swung in desperation, blood pooled on imported marble, and in that moment, 3 lives changed forever, as mother and children made a choice that would bind them in an unholy alliance. What drives a mother to persuade her own children to help conceal the murder of their father? What transforms privileged teenagers into accomplices to a crime that would shock even the most jaded Las Vegas residents? And how does a family so accustomed to keeping appearances manage the weight of a secret that threatens to crush them? The Marino family's journey from enviable success to infamous disgrace reveals chilling truths about the fragility of family bonds when tested by betrayal, desperation, and fear. Subscribe now to True Crime Village for more stories that peel back the polished veneer of seemingly perfect lives to expose the dangers lurking within. Because the most devastating crimes often happen behind closed doors, committed by the people we least suspect. The Marinos embodied Las Vegas excellence in every measured step they took. Their 5-bedroom estate in Summerlin stood as a monument to success. Italian marble countertops, custom chandeliers, and a pool designed by the same architect who created the water features at the Bellagio. The home frequently appeared in luxury magazines, with Lila using her own residence as the ultimate selling point to potential clients. Victor Marino commanded respect throughout the casino industry. His grandfather had arrived in Vegas during the 1950s construction boom, and through determination and strategic connections, the family name became intertwined with the city's evolution. Victor, with his tailored suits and calculated gaze, served as chief operations officer at the prestigious Diamond Palace Resort and Casino. His colleagues described him as methodical, exacting, and relentlessly focused, a man who expected perfection because he delivered nothing less himself. Victor could spot a card counter from across the gaming floor, remarked one colleague. His attention to detail was legendary. Nothing escaped his notice. Lila Marino sparkled with practiced charm at every social gathering. 20 years earlier, she had captivated audiences as a featured dancer in the famous Celestial Dreams show on the Strip. Her graceful transition from entertainment to real estate impressed Vegas society. By 2017, she specialized in multi-million-dollar properties, her client list filled with celebrities and casino executives who trusted her discretion and enviable connections. Their children represented the culmination of their carefully crafted legacy. Eva, the poised 19-year-old honors student at UNLV, wrote poetry that won regional awards and volunteered teaching art to underprivileged children. Lucas, 16, excelled at tennis and maintained Straighters at Westwood Academy, one of Nevada's most exclusive private schools. Both children appeared regularly in local society pages alongside their parents. They were Vegas royalty, explained former neighbor Catherine Wells, always composed, always generous with charitable donations, always impeccably presented. Yet faint fractures marred this flawless image. Observers noted how Victor rarely attended Lila's company functions. At charity galas, they often arrived in separate vehicles. Their interactions in public grew increasingly formal, conversations stiff and performative. Long-term household staff turned over frequently. Former employees whispered about tension within the mansion walls. Victor's temper, Lila's extended absences, the children's growing withdrawal from family traditions. Eva began declining invitations to society events. Lucas developed a reputation for sudden mood shifts at school, alternating between perfect student and sullen teenager. Teachers noted his increasing isolation despite his academic success. The cracks in their veneer remained subtle enough that most overlooked them, distracted by the dazzling exterior the family projected. But within the private spaces of their mansion, away from admiring eyes, a different reality played out, one of cold silences, separate lives, and mounting resentment that would ultimately shatter their carefully constructed world. 18 years of marriage had transformed Lila Marino into an expert performer. She projected radiance at real estate closings and charity functions, while her private reality consisted of emotional isolation and profound loneliness. Victor, consumed by casino operations, had long ago replaced attentiveness with expensive jewelry and practiced public affection. Their conversations reduced to logistics about social appearances and children's schedules. Physical intimacy became a distant memory. "My husband saw me as another acquisition," Lila later confessed to investigators. "Another trophy to display alongside his car collection and corner office." April 23rd changed everything. While hosting an open house for a renovated penthouse in downtown Las Vegas, Lila encountered Rafael Torres, a property developer whose reputation for bold architectural choices matched his confident demeanor. Unlike most clients who focused exclusively on investment potential, Rafael asked about the building's history, the neighborhood's evolution, and finally, about Lila herself. "He looked at me as if I existed beyond my sales pitch," she told her closest friend. "I felt visible again." Their conversation extended past the scheduled viewing. Coffee at a nearby cafe became dinner at an intimate restaurant off the main boulevard. Rafael listened, truly listened, as Lila described her former dancing career and creative aspirations abandoned for marriage. His attentiveness awakened something long dormant within her. Their first kiss occurred in the elevator of that same penthouse 1 week later, during a private second viewing. The affair ignited with an intensity that startled them both. Rafael represented everything Victor was not: spontaneous, emotionally expressive, and genuinely interested in Lila's thoughts. They established patterns, meeting in boutique hotels under false names, weekend appointments that existed only in Lila's fabricated calendar, text messages exchanged through a separate phone Rafael purchased. For 3 months, they maintained careful boundaries, then caution gave way to boldness. They dined at restaurants just beyond Victor's usual circles. Rafael sent flowers to Lila's office. They spent an entire weekend together when Victor traveled to Atlantic City, creating memories in places Lila once shared with her husband. Victor first noticed subtle changes: Lila's unexplained smiles at her phone, new perfume, renewed interest in her appearance. Business instinct honed through decades of casino management alerted him to inconsistencies in her schedule. Calls to her office revealed appointments that never existed. The mileage on her car exceeded the distances to properties she claimed to show. By July, certainty replaced suspicion. Victor contracted Maxwell Investigations, a discreet firm favored by Nevada's elite. For 2 weeks, photographs accumulated, Lila entering Raphael's downtown condominium, passionate embraces in his car, intimate dinners where they held hands across candlelit tables. The final evidence arrived in a sealed envelope on Victor's desk, photographs of Lila and Raphael entering the Belleo together, followed by surveillance images from the lobby, showing them embracing by the elevators. The timestamp read 2:38 in the morning, when Lila had claimed to be at an all-night charity event. Victor placed the photographs in his home office safe. His casino colleagues noted his increasingly unpredictable temper. He cancelled meetings without explanation. His concentration fractured during important negotiations. At home, his silence toward Lila grew heavier, more calculated, building toward an inevitable explosion. August 9th arrived with oppressive desert heat that lingered well past sunset. The Summerlin mansion's air conditioning hummed relentlessly against the 103-degree temperature outside. Victor returned home unusually early, dismissing his assistant's concerns about an unfinished quarterly report. His Mercedes pulled into the circular driveway at 7:15 in the evening. The house possessed an unnatural stillness when he entered. Lila sat in the formal living room, scrolling through property listings on her tablet. She looked up, surprised by his unexpected arrival. Victor poured himself 3 fingers of aged bourbon without a word. The silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken accusations. "You cancelled your meeting?" Lila finally asked, her voice carefully neutral. Victor swirled the amber liquid in his crystal glass. Interesting choice of words. Cancellations seem to be a specialty in this house lately. Upstairs, Ava had just emerged from the shower when she heard her father's voice, the cold, measured tone he reserved for confrontations at the casino. She paused on the landing, water dripping from her hair. Lucas emerged from his bedroom, catching her eye with immediate concern. "I received something at my office today," Victor continued downstairs, his voice carrying through the marble foyer. An envelope with quite an educational collection of photographs. The color drained from Lila's face. "Victor, we need to discuss this privately." "Private discussions? Like the ones you have been enjoying at the Belleo with Rafael Torres?" He pulled the photographs from his jacket pocket, tossing them onto the glass coffee table where they scattered like fallen cards. 2:38 in the morning, Lila, during your supposed charity event. On the staircase, Lucas whispered, "Who is Rafael Torres?" Ava hushed him with a finger to her lips. Lila stood, hands trembling. "This marriage died years ago, Victor. You know that better than anyone. Yet you wear my name, live in my house, spend my money." Victor's voice escalated with each statement. "Build your reputation on my family connections." The argument erupted into a volcanic exchange of long-buried grievances. Victor hurled accusations of betrayal and manipulation. Lila countered with years of emotional neglect and controlling behavior. Their voices echoed through vaulted ceilings as they circled each other like boxers in a ring. "I gave you everything," Victor shouted, flinging his empty glass against the wall where it shattered. "You gave me nothing but a gilded cage," Lila screamed back. Victor lunged forward, grabbing Lila's arm with enough force to make her cry out. On the landing, Ava instinctively moved to protect her mother, but Lucas held her back, both teenagers frozen in horror. Lila twisted free, reaching for the nearest object, a heavy crystal decanter, a wedding gift that had sat untouched for years. Victor advanced again, his face contorted with rage. "You will not leave this marriage with half of what I built," he growled. The decanter connected with his temple in one desperate swing. The impact produced a sickening sound. Not quite a crack, not quite a thud, Victor's expression shifted from rage to confusion before he crumpled to the marble floor. Blood pooled beneath his head, mingling with spilled bourbon. Lila stood motionless, the decanter slipping from her fingers. Her scream finally broke the terrible silence. Ava and Lucas rushed down the stairs, their world collapsing with each step. The family gathered around Victor's still form. No pulse, no breathing. The perfect Mourinho facade lay shattered alongside their patriarch. Have you noticed warning signs in relationships that preceded disaster? The subtle shifts in behavior, the increasing isolation, the tension that fills rooms. Like and comment below about red flags you have witnessed in relationships before they disintegrated. Your insight might help someone recognize danger before it becomes deadly. Time stopped in the Mourinho household. For 30 excruciating seconds, Lila, Ava, and Lucas remained frozen around Victor's body, blood expanding across imported marble tiles. Then maternal instinct, or perhaps self-preservation, propelled Lila into action. "We need to protect our family," she whispered, gripping her children's hands. "No one will understand this was an accident. They will take me away from you." Tears streamed down Ava's face. "We should call an ambulance." "It is too late for that," Lila interrupted, her voice hardening. "Look at him, Ava. Look at your father. He is gone. If we call anyone, our lives are destroyed forever." Lucas, still in shock, stammered, "But we cannot just." "We can and we must," Lila insisted. "Everything your father built, everything we created together, everything your future depends on, gone if we do not handle this ourselves. Family protects family, always." The moral calculus played across the teenagers' faces, duty to their father versus loyalty to their mother, fear of authorities versus horror at concealment. Their hesitation lasted mere moments before grim acceptance settled in their eyes. Lila assigned tasks with chilling efficiency. Ava gathered cleaning supplies while Lucas moved the family SUV from the garage to the service entrance. Lila photographed the scene methodically before any evidence disappeared, insurance against future betrayal. They worked through the night, their movements becoming increasingly mechanical. Blood required specialized attention, hydrogen peroxide to break down hemoglobin, followed by industrial cleaners. Lila retrieved from the pool house. They removed the affected marble tile, packaging it for disposal. Broken glass collected in padded bags to prevent noise. "Use the blue light," Lila instructed, retrieving a specialized flashlight from Victor's security cabinet. "It will show any blood we missed." By 2 in the morning, Victor's body lay wrapped in heavy plastic and canvas in the cargo area of their black Escalade. The house gleamed with artificial cleanliness. No evidence remained of the violence that had transformed their lives hours earlier. The desert outside Las Vegas holds countless secrets buried beneath its sparse vegetation and rocky terrain. Lila drove with practiced calm, selecting an isolated location 30 miles from the city lights. The children sat silent in the back seat, clutching shovels purchased from an all-night hardware store where they paid cash and avoided security cameras. Digging proved more difficult than anticipated. The packed desert soil resisted their efforts, rocks blunting the shovel edges. Their hands blistered as the grave slowly took shape. 4 feet deep, not ideal, but sufficient given the remote location. They lowered Victor with awkward, respectful movements, avoiding eye contact with each other or their grim cargo. "We should say something," Ava whispered. No one spoke. The silence of the desert absorbed their collective guilt as they filled the grave and arranged rocks to disguise the disturbed earth. Dawn approached as they returned home. Lila immediately implemented Phase 2, establishing Victor's disappearance. She sent text messages from his phone to business associates, mentioning unexpected travel. She removed select items from his closet, creating the impression he had packed for a trip. The following afternoon, Lila called the police, her voice breaking with practiced concern. Returning to normal routines proved impossible. Lucas developed insomnia, startling at the slightest sounds. Ava abandoned her poetry, her journal remaining empty for the first time since childhood. Lila maintained her composure during daylight, but consumed increasing amounts of wine each evening. They performed normalcy while falling apart inside, bound by complicity in the terrible knowledge buried in the desert. Victor Marino's disappearance triggered an immediate response from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. His position at Diamond Palace Casino guaranteed resources rarely allocated to missing persons cases. By noon, the day after Lila's report, detectives swarmed the Summerlin estate, combing through rooms with methodical precision. "We take the disappearance of prominent community members extremely seriously," Captain Eleanor Fitzgerald told assembled reporters. Mr. Marino's absence from critical business meetings raises significant concerns. The Marino family found themselves thrust into unwelcome spotlight. News vans lined their street. Casino industry publications speculated about corporate takeovers and financial impropriety. Gossip blogs hinted at gambling debts and underworld connections. The public devoured each theory, hungry for scandal among the elite. Inside the mansion, detectives interviewed staff while forensic technicians examined surfaces for anomalies. They collected Victor's hairbrush, toothbrush, and personal effects for DNA comparison. Questions became increasingly pointed as hours stretched into days. "When exactly did you notice your husband missing, Mrs. Marino?" Detective James Harmon asked during their third interview, his tone shifting from sympathetic to skeptical. Digital forensics revealed the first contradictions. Victor's cell phone showed movement inconsistent with Lila's timeline. Tower pings placed the device near the desert on the night of his departure, miles from the airport where he supposedly left for an impromptu business trip. Then came the surveillance footage. A gas station camera, 30 miles outside Las Vegas, captured images of the Marino's Escalade at 4:13 in the morning on August 10th. The resolution proved too low for facial recognition, but the vehicle's custom license plate remained clearly visible. The children broke pattern first. Lucas abandoned tennis practice without explanation. Teachers noted his sudden aggression toward classmates. Ava withdrew from her university poetry workshop, her professor reporting concerning themes in her final submission, pieces filled with guilt and buried secrets. Forensic technicians requested a second examination of the Marino residence, focusing specifically on the living room. Despite meticulous cleaning, specialized chemical tests revealed microscopic blood residue in grout lines. A single crystal shard, discovered behind a bookcase, matched the distinctive pattern of a decanter listed in their home insurance documentation, but now conspicuously absent. Detective Harmon presented the findings to Lila during interview number 5. "We found fragments of crystal containing your husband's blood type," he stated, watching her reaction carefully. "Would you care to explain that, Mrs. Marino?" The careful facade cracked. Lila requested water, her hand trembling as she reached for the glass. Across town, Lucas broke down during questioning at his school, his composure finally collapsing under the weight of his knowledge. The truth approached, unstoppable, as the desert dawn. 17 days after Victor's disappearance, the Marino family structure collapsed from within. The unified front they presented to authorities masked a home environment deteriorating by the hour. Meals went uneaten, conversations died before completion, eye contact became rare between mother and children. Ava withdrew into her bedroom, emerging only when required for police interviews, Sleep eluded her, replaced by vivid flashbacks of desert dirt on her hands and her father's still form. Her academic advisor reported concerning behavior, missed classes, incomplete assignments, and vacant stares during discussions. When she did sleep, her screams echoed through the mansion hallways. "I see him every night," she confessed to her journal, "standing at the foot of my bed, desert dust falling from his clothes, asking why we left him there alone." Lucas transformed his guilt into rage. He shattered his tennis trophies during a 3 a.m. breakdown. His coach reported aggressive behavior during matches, previously unthinkable for a student known for sportsmanship. Teachers documented sudden outbursts followed by complete emotional shutdown. The 16-year-old's shoulders curved inward, his posture reflecting the invisible weight he carried. Lila attempted to maintain control through constant vigilance. She monitored her children's communications, interrupted private conversations, and scripted their responses to investigative questions. Her methods grew increasingly desperate as their composure fractured. "Remember, we protect this family," became her mantra, repeated daily, with increasing urgency. Detective Harmon noticed the shifting family dynamics during separate interviews. Lucas contradicted his earlier statements about the evening routine. Ava mentioned a shopping trip that conflicted with security footage from their neighborhood gate. Small inconsistencies accumulated into a pattern impossible to dismiss. Their stories aligned too perfectly in major details, Harmon noted to his partner, but fracture completely on minor points no one would think to coordinate. The breaking point arrived during an unexpected school visit. Detectives interviewed Ava's poetry professor, who shared her final submission verses filled with desert imagery, midnight drives and secrets buried beneath stone and silence. When confronted with her writing, Ava collapsed into tears visible to students passing in the hallway. That evening, Lila discovered Lucas researching criminal accomplice statutes on his laptop. Their whispered argument escalated until Ava intervened. "We cannot continue living this lie," Ava declared, her voice steady for the first time in weeks. "Family protects family," Lila responded automatically. "Look at what that protection has done to us," Ava countered, gesturing toward Lucas's hollow expression. The following morning, Ava entered the police station alone. Her hands trembled as she approached the front desk. "I need to speak with Detective Harmon," she whispered. "About my father." Within hours, the truth emerged in halting, tear-filled confession. The accident, the panic, the burial, the lies, all revealed as the burden finally lifted from her conscience. How far should family loyalty extend? Would you protect a loved one who committed a terrible act? Share your thoughts below on where you would draw the line between family obligation and moral responsibility. When does protection become complicity? The Marino trial dominated Nevada media for 6 consecutive months. Courtroom seats became the most coveted tickets in Las Vegas, with spectators lining up before dawn. National news outlets established permanent outposts at the courthouse steps, broadcasting daily updates about the family whose perfect image had dissolved into headlines about betrayal, violence, and deception. Prosecutors painted Lila as calculating and manipulative. They presented evidence of internet searches for cleaning blood from marble and desert burial locations found on her secured tablet. They highlighted her detailed cleaning efforts and the methodical way she established the disappearance narrative. This was no crime of passion, District Attorney Maxwell argued in his opening statement. This was a woman eliminating an obstacle to her freedom and new relationship, then corrupting her own children to hide her actions. The defense countered with years of documented emotional distance from Victor. Former household staff testified about his controlling behavior and explosive temper. Medical records revealed bruises. Lila had explained away to doctors over years of marriage. She acted in desperate self-defense. Her attorney countered, then made terrible choices while in shock and fear for her children's future. After 37 days of testimony and 4 days of deliberation, the jury returned their verdict. Leila Marino, guilty of second-degree murder. Lucas Marino, guilty as an accessory after the fact. Ava Marino, guilty as an accessory, with consideration for her cooperation. Judge Eleanor Walton delivered the sentences with stern disappointment. Leila received 20 years with possibility of parole after 15. Lucas, tried as a minor, received 4 years in juvenile detention. Ava received 3 years probation and mandatory therapy in exchange for her testimony. The Marino fortune disintegrated under legal fees, civil suits from Victor's family, and the collapse of Leila's real estate business. The Summerlin mansion sold at auction for 60% of its value. The family name, once synonymous with Vegas' success, became cautionary shorthand for hidden domestic turmoil. 5 years later, the aftermath continued. Leila served her sentence at Florence McClure Women's Correctional Center, participating in prison counseling programs. Lucas, released at 20, left Nevada permanently, changing his name and cutting contact with both mother and sister. Ava completed her degree in psychology, eventually working with families affected by domestic violence. Las Vegas absorbed the Marino tragedy into its complex mythology, another tale of glittering facades concealing darker truths. Casino executives still reference the case during security briefings about personnel problems. Real estate agents whispered about it when showing properties in Summerlin. The desert kept its secrets, but the city remembered the family destroyed by their own desperate choices. Every family carries secrets, but few bear the weight of decisions that forever alter multiple lives. The Marino tragedy serves as a stark reminder that beneath polished exteriors often lie complex webs of resentment, fear, and desperation waiting to explode. The true cost of maintaining appearances cannot be measured merely in lost fortune or prison sentences. It exists in the fractured psyche of a young man who abandoned his identity to escape his past. It lives in the nightmares that still visit Ava, despite years of therapy. It resides in the empty chairs at holiday tables and the photos no longer displayed. Consider the crossroads faced by Ava and Lucas, that fatal night. Two privileged teenagers confronted an impossible binary choice: betray their mother or become accomplices to a crime. Their decision, made in moments of shock and confusion, redirected the trajectory of their entire lives. No college experience would unfold normally. No career would begin without the shadow of their actions. No relationship could develop without the question of when and how to reveal their past. The path to catastrophe began long before the crystal decanter connected with Victor's temple. It started with emotional distance disguised as busy schedules, with public performances of affection that vanished behind closed doors, with children who learned to navigate parental tension rather than enjoy family security. The warning signs appeared in plain sight. Business associates noticed Victor's increasing irritability. Friends observed Leila's erratic behavior and sudden cancellations. Teachers documented the children's withdrawal from activities they once loved. Yet, no one connected these isolated observations into a complete picture until tragedy rendered intervention impossible. What would you have done in Ava and Lucas's position that night? Would you have called authorities immediately, helped conceal the crime, fled the scene entirely? Subscribe to True Crime Village now, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might help someone facing impossible choices in their own family dynamics. Next week on True Crime Village, the perfect pastor. How a beloved community religious leader maintained 2 separate families in neighboring states for 15 years, until a chance encounter at a gas station exposed his elaborate double life.